Have you ever made one statement and you knew exactly what the statement meant? You had it very clear in your mind, and yet the people or the person you made the statement to understood it very differently from what your intention was, and therefore you were kind of almost like on two different planets. Jesus dealt with that when he was having a conversation with some of those who weren't quite on the same page with him in John chapter 8. He had just made the statement to some of those who were listening to him that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Well, he was speaking of something spiritual, and yet when the response from the audience, at least some of the people in the audience, came to him, they answered him and said, John 8, verse 33, we are Abraham's descendants, and we have never been in bondage to anyone. How can you say you will be made free? Now, that's a little bit of an ironic statement. It's a little hard to comprehend exactly the perspective they were coming from as Jewish people, because after Abraham, well, there was Egyptian bondage, then there was Babylonian captivity, there was Persian dominance, there was Greek rule, and as they spoke these very words, they were under Roman authority and Roman rule. In fact, many of the people of Jesus' days had misinterpreted the coming of the Messiah to deliver them from the bondage and the oppression of the Romans. You would have thought they would have been very excited and enamored by what Jesus was saying, that I'm going to make you free, because of their perspective. Yet they said, we've never been in bondage to anyone. Here's the misunderstanding. Jesus was speaking about spiritual bondage. Jesus was speaking about spiritual freedom. They only heard it about the material, about the physical. They were still wrong even in that, but Jesus proceeds on to explain that he's talking about the spiritual. In the next verse, he says, most assuredly I say to you, whoever commits sin is a slave of sin, in bondage to sin. And a slave does not abide in the house forever, but a son abides forever. Therefore, if the Son, talking about him, if the Son makes you free, you will be free indeed. The material, the physical bondage, slavery that anyone might be in, oppression, as difficult and as challenging as that might be, Jesus says that's very secondary. The primary freedom everyone needs is freedom of soul, freedom from sin. And I have come to make that possible. It's still possible for everyone who hears Jesus, believes his word, obeys him, turns from sin, turns to him, has sins washed away through baptism, and is added to his body, to have that same freedom, to be free indeed.